Gentlemen, if you feel like you're losing your woman, it's probably your fault. I'm Dr. Joe Rangel, the bodybuilding PhD, and we're going to talk a little bit about masculinity. In fact, we're going to do an entire series on it and break it up into smaller videos because it would take way too long for one video in one sitting. Women, please watch this. Pay attention to it. Make comments in the comment section below. Tell me if you think I'm crazy, or tell me if you think I'm onto something and that maybe some men should pay attention to me here. Gentlemen, we are facing a crisis of masculinity in this country. Our testosterone levels are on average about 30% lower than they were 2 generations ago. And one of the problems is we as a culture have continued to move towards this androgyny where we are all the same, women and men. Okay? And whatever socio-political or socio-cultural beliefs you ascribe to are not important to me. What is important to me is that in a heterosexual relationship, if there is a strong, intelligent, powerful, feminine personality, it requires a strong masculine core to offset it and create that polarization that makes the relationship work. Let me explain. Masculinity is not toxic. There is no such thing as toxic masculinity. Toxic behavior, things like misogyny, things like assaulting women, things like domestic violence, like emotional abuse, narcissism, all of these things, they already have names. And grouping them together under the idea of masculinity is patently false, because masculinity itself eschews all of that behavior. Someone who is truly in their masculine would never act like that. That behavior is just douchey. So over the course of the next series of videos, we're going to discuss what masculinity is and try and identify where you may be failing at it and what we can do to fix that. This first video, though, we're going to discuss what masculinity isn't. It is not alpha dog behavior. Too many times, guys try and overcompensate for their lack of masculinity by engaging in alpha dog behavior. And you see stuff like this all over the internet. Alphas don't do this. Alphas don't do that. Alphas, bros before hoes. And you know these guys when you see them, right? Short guy, tiny guy, huge truck, right? Walks around, shirt that's 12 sizes too small, flashing his money, getting into fights with anyone for just looking at him sideways. This is not masculine behavior. This is alpha behavior. It's not really even alpha behavior, to be honest with you. I mean, when wolves and dogs and stuff are alphas, they don't act like this either. This is less than alpha behavior. But that's what we call it. Alpha behavior is a misguided attempt at masculinity, which is really just misogynistic and kind of douchey. When somebody's engaging in alpha behavior, what they're doing is trying to compensate for their lack of masculinity and demonstrate to the world overtly how very manly they are. Okay? It doesn't work, right? It'll work for a little bit. You might impress some people, but at the end of the day, it's not going to work for you, because when someone is in their true masculine, they will automatically be the alpha. And what's interesting about a true masculine is if a masculine person is in the room with other masculine people, they are all alphas, and you say there can only be one alpha. Not true, because when you're masculine, you're the alpha of yourself. When you're an alpha dog, you're trying to control the world around you. The masculine person doesn't care about the world around him. He's in charge of his emotions. He's in charge of his reactions. He's in charge of how he feels. Why do we care about this? Well, this is the part that's going to rustle some feathers. But research shows, and my own anecdotal experience shows, that a strong feminine person, a strong feminine woman, will naturally submit to the leadership of a masculine man, as long as that leadership is done in the proper way. I'm not talking about dominance. I'm not talking about being submissive. I'm not talking about running somebody's life. And that will create the harmony in the relationship that helps it to last. And if you don't believe me, have a look at this. This was posted by a friend of mine who is possibly the strongest, most independent feminine woman I know. Very proud of her femininity and tough as nails. Have a look. A woman is naturally submissive to a man whom she trusts to lead, even if she's an alpha female. So people bristle now at the idea of, the man leading, the woman submitting. This doesn't mean submitting like I'm going to do everything he says. Masculinity isn't about domineering. It isn't about being in control all the time, about telling you what you can do when you can go out with your friends, all that. That's not masculinity. That may have been the ideal back in the 50s and 60s. That's not contemporary masculinity. But masculinity does naturally lead. And a strong woman in her femininity naturally follows. That doesn't mean that she can't take the lead. That doesn't mean that she can't take the lead in areas that she knows better or she's really good at. It's very subtle and it's very different. So I've discussed what masculinity isn't. Let me tell you what it is. It is very simply these three things: providing structure, providing safety, and responding instead of reacting. Providing structure, providing safety, responding instead of reacting. Now, and that last one, responding instead of reacting, that throws the alphas right out of the window. And then providing structure, that throws the alphas right out the window too. Those three things get broken up into further sections. Like, for instance, providing structure is where the leadership part comes in. Providing safety and security is kind of where financial stability and those things come in. It's not just about being big and strong or having a gun. It's about safety overall, a feeling of safety, and responding instead of reacting, which I have already covered in a different video, but we will cover again here. But those are the three things that a strong woman in her feminine energy wants: structure, safety, and for you to respond instead of react. In other words, to weather her emotions and not act like an asshole, not to immediately go Kyle and start punching walls, not to lose control of your emotions. Emotional regulation is incredibly important to the masculine persona. So anyway, I hope this first part was at least a little bit informative to you, and I hope you're looking forward to the second. I'll get that up as soon as I can. All right, guys. I love you. I'm Dr. Joe Rangel, the bodybuilding PhD. Stay unbreakable.